Hi ladies, I decided to video making my mom's Kotlet recipe to share it with you guys. So here it goes from start to finish. So the only thing that I've done in preparation of this is that I boiled 4 eggs about this size, which equates to about 1.5 pounds. And let's see, and I chopped my parsley using my little Cuisinart machine. Other than that, I'm just gonna make everything else in front of you. So to start with, 1 pound of ground chicken. And using a scissor, I'm gonna cut and just dump in the chicken into the bowl. Next, 1 pound of ground beef. These are all pre-measured, so it's very easy. Again, just cut it up and dump it into the bowl. I salt and pepper it at this stage because I can sort of see where the salt and pepper will be. And I will also season it with, about 1/2 tablespoon of turmeric and 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Next, I will go ahead and put in the chopped parsley. Guess you can chop it by hand if you wish, but this is easier. Now here comes the fun part. So using your standard grater, I just put it in the bowl and I start grating my potatoes. So unlike a professional video, this is not going to be edited, so you're going to see it all from start to finish. Now the bowl's starting to fill up. So after I'm done with this, I'm going to push it down a little bit because I still need to add the grated onions and the eggs. Okay, so here we go. We're done with this. I'm going to push it down and salt and pepper the potato because I didn't salt the water. But again, this way, you can see, because you're layering it, how much salt you're actually putting in the food. So then, next, I'm gonna take my grater and grate the onion. But actually, I'm not gonna grate it directly in here, because what we wanna do is wanna squeeze all the water out of the onion. Otherwise, you're gonna be creating a soup. So again, using that grater and the larger side of it, you just grate your onion. And this is about a medium size yellow onion. So I'm going to stop about here because I don't want to grate my own hand. And basically, we're done with the grater. I'm going to put it in the sink. Then you take the onions and you squeeze out with your hands like this all that water from the onion. When you pretty much have these dry onions, then that's what you put in. So the trick to Kotlet is the consistency and the proportionality of your ingredients. So if you have too much potatoes or too much meat, it's not gonna work. And neither will if you just grate the onion and put it in like this because of all the water in it. So there's pretty much a good amount of water that's still in here. So I'm just gonna dump this and we're done. Now, since my hands are dirty, I'm just gonna start massaging the meat, the parsley, the potatoes, and the onion together. before adding the eggs. It'll make mixing in the whatchamacallit, the eggs easier. Okay, this is pretty good. Then I'm gonna add my eggs, and you can add them all at the same time. You have to make sure there's no shells in there. And that's my dog back there wanting to get in because he probably can smell the meat. Okay, and now I'm gonna take a few minutes to massage the eggs into the meat and get a nice, consistent mix here. So this is probably the messiest part of making kotlet. Now once you make this mixture, I suggest you put it in the fridge for about 5 minutes or so, or you can even be longer if you have time, so that it sort of forms itself, and when it comes to shaping it, it will become easier to shape. Okay, so we pretty much have a consistent mixture here. So next, I'm gonna turn off the video. I'm gonna put this in the fridge for a few minutes. I'm gonna clean up, and then we're gonna do the shaping part next. So the meat has now been in the fridge for about 5 minutes, and we're gonna start shaping it. So to start off with, I take my cutting board and I sprinkle on top of it about a good cup and a half of breadcrumb. And I use a ready-made breadcrumb. I don't make my own. Then next, I take a scooper. Now you can use a smaller scooper or a larger scooper. I use the smaller scooper if I'm making the kotlet as an appetizer, and I use my larger scooper if I'm making it as a main dish. So I essentially take I do the same thing for cookies. I essentially take a scoop of it and I place it on the breadcrumb. So you can actually do several of them at the same time, which will speed things up. So I'm going to do about 4 at the same time. So I scoop about 4 of these here, and then I start rolling it like this into the breadcrumb. Now the beauty of this is that your hands will not get dirty. Or I guess they will get dirty, but they won't get as sticky as it usually does when people make kotlet. So then you roll it in and you cover all the sides with the breadcrumb. Once you're done with that, you can start shaping it. And the simplest way to shape it is you already have a rounded edge at the bottom. So you want to maintain that, and instead you just pull forward the sides and make it into the shape of a kotlet. And see how easy this is. So essentially you end up with this shape. If you want to, you can roll it again in a little bit of breadcrumb, and then I place it on a baking sheet that I've already prepared with parchment paper on it. So I prepare all my kotlets like this. I shape them, I put them on the parchment paper and get it ready before I start frying. It's far easier, simpler, and cleaner, and you can manage things better if you do it this way, as opposed to shaping it and then putting it in the oil right away. So basically I'm using 2 pounds of ground meat, 1 pound of essentially chicken, ground chicken, and 1 pound of lamb, and about 1.5 pounds of potatoes. So let's see how many of these kotlets I'll get. Just for fun, I'm going to use the smaller scooper so you can see the size of the kotlet when you use a smaller scooper. So again, same concept, same idea. You roll it, you cover all sides with a breadcrumb. Then you leverage the rounded bottom shape you already have, and you just squeeze the sides forward. And I guess it's like a tear shape, sorry. So it's more like a tear shape. And this is the mini size. I'm gonna move my camera so you can see sort of the sizes. This is the smaller size, and that's the larger size. So I am actually going to turn off the video at this time because I don't want to bore you with shaping every single one. I will time it and let you know how long it takes for me to shape all of the mixture that we have. And once it's done, we'll start frying. So it took me about 15 minutes. And let's see, it was about 2 pounds of meat, 1.5 pounds of potatoes, and it has yielded about 24 pieces of the cutlet. And next I'll start frying them. So I'm heating about 2 cups of peanut oil. I use peanut oil, but you can use corn oil, avocado oil, but don't use olive oil because olive oil has a distinct taste and flavor, and it changes and affects the flavor of the cutlet. You can see by using the scooper, not only was it easier and less messy, but you also get consistency of shape and size to the cutlets. So I'm going to start placing the cutlets one by one into the pot. Now, the pan here. What I'm trying to do is keep a little space between the cutlets, because if you crowd it, it will actually lengthen the frying time. So I'm putting about 6 of them at a time. I may be able to squeeze another one in here. So let's say 7 each time. We don't want to fry it at very high temperature here, because what we're trying to do is actually cook it, not burn it. So with the first batch, I'll time it and let you know how long it takes. And then I will also time and let you know how long it takes to make all 24. So stay tuned. So while I'm waiting for the cutlets to fry, I'm going to prepare. So I've taken a ceramic dish, placed some paper towels on it so that I can take the cutlets off and place it on here in order to soak up any extra oil. So I'd like to see how it's coming along. So I've just flipped it to the other side, and I'll wait for the other side to become golden like this before I pick it up and put it on that paper towel. I took out the batch, placed it on the paper towel, allowing it to soak up that excess oil, and put in another batch. We'll be back. So here I am with the very last batch. As you can see, I have not added any additional oil to the initial one that I poured in, and I'm still working with it because the cutlet is not absorbing much of the oil. And I don't know how well you can see, but here is the paper towel, and also that you won't see much excess oil. And the reason is because of the proportionality between the meat and the potatoes. So here we are with the final product, 24 uniform pieces of cutlet. It took about 1 hour and 15 minutes from start to finish, minus the boiling time for the potatoes. And I'm going to open up one of the smaller of the cutlets, and this is what you will see. Hope you enjoy it.